Welcome back to Studio 5. At a certain point in life, you come to know yourself really well, your patterns, your choices, your style of communication. But parenting is a process that most people admit they are still trying to figure out. Studio 5 contributor Connie Sokol says knowing your personal parenting style will help you in every single parenting situation. And it begs the question, do most people know their parenting style?
Oh my gosh, I think most of us are like, my parenting style is like, keep the children alive, survive the day. I mean, really, how many times I think, oh, how did I do with that one? And that's why this is not something to get us down about, oh, I should be being this perfect parent. Not at all. Wisdom is in knowing, sometimes we look at our children and say, I wish they'd make different decisions, and we don't realize maybe what our part is in the way we respond to them or what we trigger in them, and then how they respond back. So when we know our parenting style, we can be more clear in our approach and how we're doing something.
And I love and appreciate your reminder that it's not about perfect parenting, but maybe just elevating ourselves once a day to try to see where we're at and how we can improve.
Yes, and seeing our main go-to. If we say, wow, I'm typically this kind of person, I can see in this situation, I need to back off.
All right, 4 common parenting styles. What's the first one?
The first one is authoritative. Now, these come from kind of a whole mishmash, Jean Piaget, Eric Erickson, McCovey, all of these people, so take it for what it's worth. It's a big 2 cents, basic 4. Authoritative is not what you may think. It's not authoritarian. Authoritative is the ideal. This is the one we want. It's leading and loving. It's high expectation, reasonable consequences that are generally consistent. It's helping them be independent, but there's warmth and nurturing. This is really what we're shooting for. And the outcome of this is that we have happy, capable, successful children. They know how to think for themselves, but they respect authority, and they're warm and caring.
And just by that description, I think everyone's nodding along. Yes, I want to raise children like that.
I want to be like that, yes.
All right, style number 2 is what you just mentioned, authoritarian. How is that different?
That is the complete opposite. This is my house, my rules. This is where you tell the children what to do and expect obedience and to be spot on and do it right. It's more punitive. It's more focused on maybe status. It's less explaining what's going on and more performance. And the outcome of this is that you might often have obedient and proficient children. Maybe they're very good at the piano or a sport, but they're lower on self-esteem, on happiness, and also on social competence. They don't really know what to do. They haven't stretched their legs. They're just used to being told what to do and then fill in the gaps.
My mind goes to that tiger mom who got a lot of attention a couple years ago.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Permissive. What is a type of parent who's permissive?
This is more like the BFF. This is more like, let's go shopping and let's do a movie. And there's nothing wrong with those things, but when that's kind of, there's low expectation, little discipline, it's more of not really regulating appropriate behavior. It's more let's hang. The outcome of this may be surprising to parents is that there is lower happiness, lower self-esteem, poor performance in school, more poor, and also less respect for authority. They kind of have more problems with authority figures, so that's a problem.
This next category kind of speaks for itself, the uninvolved parents.
Yeah, this is the bottom of the barrel. This is basic needs 101. It's food, clothing, and a roof over your head. And this can be from a couple of reasons. One, it can be parents being more involved in their own lives. I've got my life, I'm busy, here's lunch money, kind of don't bother me. Or it could be there's trauma, there's addiction, that kind of a thing. So the kids, their opinions, their emotions are dismissed, not really addressed. So it's just survival. And the outcome, of course, is across the board on everything low.
So once we've identified our parenting style, you say it's important to know how to adapt that style to different life situations. So if we know authoritative parenting is the goal, is it ever okay in the moment to adapt or let another parenting style leak in?
Absolutely. And I think, well, I don't think neglectful is ever a good thing, but those other ones, you know, you feel the situation, and when you can be adjusting, I think that's super helpful because your children are different. Years ago, one of my children, he was such a picky eater. He would not eat, and I was so afraid. And I went to the pediatrician, and he gave me such great advice. He said, go by the week, nutrition by the week. And I've used that for other parenting principles.
Meaning spread out the veggies.
Spread it out, but don't worry about it. Did he get it over the course of a week? Give him a good multivitamin, and he will probably come through this phase. And he was my child with Asperger's, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, he would only eat chicken nuggets, and how I felt, that went against my grain. You know, no pun intended, but I was just like, what, chicken nuggets? But you know what? He's thriving. He's 21, great shape, eats well. It's all good. But I was looked at as a permissive parent. I remember this one man said, just starve him, don't feed him. I'm like, you don't understand. He would starve himself. So anyway, it was seen permissive, but it wasn't. It was good for that situation, and I was reasonable in my approach.
How important is it, Connie, to adapt your parenting style, not just to the situation, but to your child, your individual kids?
Oh my gosh, this is so key, because every child's personality, I can look sideways at a child of one of mine, and they'll just start crying, I'm so sorry. And another child, you could toss them out the window, and they'd say, I'm going to do it again. That was fun. So really, it is adjusting. I had one child that a few years ago, she had real issues with emotional meltdowns, and it was so hard. And I worked through authoritative parenting, and here's the cycling, here's what happens, here's some coping coping skills. Let's try this, la, 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 la. And then finally it got to such a negative, I said, okay, the consequence we talked about, appreciate how you thought to respond, you're gonna clean the house when you come home. And when she came home, kudos to her, she not only cleaned the house, but I kind of get to be a mush ball when I see that my children are responding and get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
By the end, I said, don't worry about the kitchen floor. And she said, no, Mom, don't make it easy on me. I have to learn. And I went, okay, not only is she the golden child, but she got it. She internalized
How old
it.
is she?
She knew. She was 13. So yeah, and she knew what I was trying to teach her. She got it, and it wasn't punitive. It was, she understood there was warmth and nurturing, and there was a boundary that was set. So this is the goal. That doesn't happen all the time.
I was gonna say, that's
no,
a really obvious, like, this is working, but how, as a parent, can you assess if it is working or not?
Well, I think that comes to what's the driver. And I think when we can feel, when we get done with an interaction with our child, at the outcome, at the very end of the day, we can say, I still feel love for that child, and I felt like I did what was best in that situation for that child. And that means that love was the driver. So often we'll get in a situation and certain things will just trigger us. Maybe it's when your kid smirks or they put the hand like that. Oh, that just. And I realized this is my trigger, and I'm the adult, I need to behave like one. And it loses love. As soon as that happens, we just get in this parenting mode. And when we can keep love as the driver, then the style will be appropriate to what is best for the child. There's this story that I love. President Harold B. Lee was a leader of the LDS Church, and he went to a big dance festival thing in BYU Stadium, took 2 grandkids, a 7- and a 5-year-old, said, I didn't know what I was getting into. He's this older man, right? Old man, with the leaders all around him, and his little boys are just going crazy, and the 5-year-old is all over the place, and they're chuckling and laughing. And the 5-year-old finally turns around and punches him in the nose.
Right there in front
of everyone. And you just wait to see what is this religious leader going to do? And he said, I wanted to spank him because that's what he deserved. But he said, I remembered that his mom had said, you have to love them when they're unlovable. And so instead, he took him in his arms and said, I love you, my boy, and I so want you to be happy and grow up to be a happy boy. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. And the boy just melted in his arms. And that is what I'm talking about, this love as a driver. If we can pull it back, and we're not being mamby-pamby, but we're just going back to love, then we can address it in the proper style that's best for the child.
We dedicated a whole show a couple years back to that idea that love is all they need at the end of the day, and that still remains, I think, one of the most powerful shows we've done, because you can read all of the parenting books, and you can soak up all this information and feel so overwhelmed, but at the end of the day, if you can love, you know you're doing something right.
Oh yes, and they feel it, and they know it, and that gives them that confidence, all those layered things that they need when they feel that love.
And this isn't about being formulaic, right?
No, no, this is about paying attention to why you do what you do and how they respond. And in that moment, you're seeing them, you're hearing them, you're not just trying to parent.
And there are some examples that you and I were sharing where you've come up with some really creative ways to respond in those parenting moments where you don't quite know how to deal.
Yeah, like one day when my 2 boys, they were outside and they were playing, and I called them to come in, and they came to the door and they were literally covered with mud. I could see their eyes, and they stood at the door and they looked at me and they went, are you mad? I just burst out laughing. I said, hang on. I went and got the camera, couldn't find the picture, got the camera, and now that's not how I was going to respond every time, and they knew it. But in that moment, that was the moment.
So it's okay
respond.
to shake it loose and be creative in certain situations.
Absolutely.
Connie, that was a lot of information. I know you covered it so well. Great overview. Thank you so much. Kids are back in school. A lot of book clubs are kind of settling in and gearing up, and you have a way to spice up book club if it's gotten a little stale.
Yes, we want to do the 8-week challenge. It's a very informal, fun challenge. You're feeling like, okay, I've got kids in school and I need a jump start for myself. 8 weeks, we're going to take it one life topic at a time. We've got discounts on the books, ebooks or print. And then if you purchase them, we are now giving you, just for this one time, 8 bonus teaching videos. So you can show parts of them to your book club, or you can watch them yourself on each life area for book clubs. Or if it's an individual purchase, you get 1 bonus teaching video just to get you a jump start.
What a great program. ConnieSokol.com.
ConnieSokol.com.
Thank you so much.